Oh, no.
Okay.
Open up. You open up.
Hi guys, I'm Hannah.
I'm Sadie.
And we're not straight, and this is Shell.
This is Shell.
So today is day 1 of our pre-relationship series.
Which I like to call the Prelationship.
That makes a lot of sense. We're gonna go over what our friendship was like.
Yes. And specifically why we should have known
that it was more than just a
friendship.
Right. And as an overall just thought exercise while you're watching this video, where is the line?
Yeah. And what? Like, and does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And is it a good thing that female friendships are inherently way closer? Does it make it confusing for any of you guys?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, here we go.
Here it is. I looked at our list and the first thing I saw was I would follow her around. Which is kind of an all-encompassing, like in a literal sense, I would try to be where she was. So the first thing I thought of was at work, but this is in a more general sense too. Like if there was a party that was happening and Sadie was gonna be there, I wanted to be there. If we were in the same space and she went into a different room, I would want to also be in that room. Even if I'm not necessarily talking to her, just the proximity was what I was after.
Flattered. I'm totally flattered. Hey, stop biting my hand. Like, I think the funny part is that I wanted you to follow me around. I mean, I think, like, I liked you and I wanted to hang out with you, and I don't know. Yeah, there are certainly, like, relationships, like, I'm thinking, like, siblings where you don't want someone to follow you around, but I never felt like that. I always wanted you to be around, and I always wanted to be around you.
This is making me sound a little bit like a stalker, but we were friends.
No, we were friends. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, I'm realizing in reflection, I'm like, I would follow her around everywhere. It applies to everything. Okay, so the second one is we were always braiding each other's hair, but Sadie's French braiding skills are always evolving.
That was gentle.
We should just say Sadie always wanted her hair French braided, always by me, and so I did it almost every day for like
a long time. Yeah.
Months.
Like in the summer. Yeah.
In the summer, which if you've ever French braided someone's hair, it's kind of an intimate thing. Is that accurate? Is that only true for us?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
It's definitely a display of like friendship and intimacy, even in a platonic way.
I think it's similar to like the sibling thing. Like there are, like I wanted you to French braid my hair.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't just like, I have to have braids in my hair. Can anyone do it?
Right. It was like, all right, here's our ritual.
Yeah.
This is like part of the closeness that we share. And so it was like she would sit right in front of me between my legs and kind of like lean back against my legs, and I would braid her hair. And it would take, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was quick, but it was just like a nice like ritual,
check-in.
I guess. Yeah.
And if you want to see my French braiding skills, you can check out a video where we talk about our first kiss and French braid each other's hair, and full display. So we used to go out for Mexican food a lot, and we often would talk about the books we were reading, and we would recommend books to each other. And so we decided that it would be real fun to create a book club just for the two of us that was titled Burritos, Books, and Babes.
Obviously.
Burritos for the food, books for the topic of conversation, and babes was just the two of us.
Yes. Yep. And we never intended to invite anyone else either.
Yeah. That was maybe the like, curious part.
Yeah, but it was very fun while it lasted.
Super, super fun.
This next one, sometimes so I lived kind of across the city, I would say. Like I lived north of downtown, Sadie lived south of downtown, and I would often be out east of downtown. that's like a large triangle to imagine, but we were never actually that close together. So if we wanted to see each other, it was kind of a haul. And I would sit in traffic for like an hour just to go visit. Like I would go during rush hour and be like, no, I'm going to see Sadie, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I actually didn't think anything of this one because up until this point, kind of the main group of people that I hung out with, a large portion of that group of us lived in the same house. So I didn't really know any better. I was like, well, people must do this for their friends all the time.
Which maybe brings me to the next point, which is that I would drive down to Sadie's house every Sunday to watch the Seahawks games. And I pretended it was because they were like hosting a party every Sunday, but that wasn't really the case.
Like as stated before, Hannah's not really the party type.
Yeah, sometimes they would host like a bunch of people, and it would be like 20 people all watching together. And sometimes it was just like me and the 4 people who lived there. Because I was like, that's what we do. We go to Sadie's house and we watch the Seahawks game together.
Yeah, that was what we did.
That was what we did, but it wasn't like, I don't know. Looking back, it's like, oh yeah, it's us plus Hannah, who only watches football with us. And I would bring the party platter.
Oh my god.
The infamous party platter. Even if there was nothing on it.
Okay, when you say even if there was nothing on it, I want to be clear, there was never anything on it. Not once was there anything on it.
Sometimes I would bring something to put on it when I got there.
Odwalla juice?
No! I brought chips. You know what? Let's move on.
I honestly don't remember you bringing anything ever. Oh my gosh. So while we were at work, we would spend pretty much the entire workday like chatting on like Google Hangouts or the Marco Polo app where you can send like video messages or texting. Sometimes multiple streams of communication at once. And it was pretty much daily for long stretches of time, and then there would be a couple days where we didn't check in, but it was pretty much every day. We would be like, hey, how's your day going? And we didn't work together anymore, so it was like, it wasn't like we were, you know, like
in the same place.
Being like, hey, what's going on at your desk? Like we were just like just talking. And we would have these like long conversations about everything, like about family, about relationships, about like dumb stuff, like
and I think that was not working together was part of what made it seem normal, because we had worked together and I would want to know how things were going, so it would be like updates about work, and then it would kind of bleed into everything else.
Oh, she's being all calm now.
Okay, so this one, Sadie requested the one song she was sure of for the wedding ceremony that she wanted me to sing was in Spanish. And
can we pause for a second, just for those who don't know this whole story? I was getting married to a man, and Hannah was going to be the wedding singer.
Yes.
So that's where this comes from.
Yes. So she had requested several songs, but the one that she knew I was supposed to do was in Spanish. And I studied Spanish in high school for 3 years. That does not mean that I could speak Spanish. And I was determined to, like, learn Spanish for this wedding. So I wasn't just studying the song and memorizing the song, though I would listen to it multiple times a day so that I like had it down. I was not going to mess up this song. And I don't know if that was like a normal request of you to make, but I had never sung a song in Spanish before, so this wasn't like part of my song book that I could just like whip up this song. And I spent many hours learning the song, practicing the song, and then trying to like learn how to roll my R's so that I wasn't embarrassing her.
Wait, were you studying Spanish in general?
That's what I'm saying, yes. It was like, it wasn't just the song. There was like more to it.
That.
I was like, I should get better at Spanish generally.
That's so charming.
Thanks.
Oh my god.
Hi, cutie.
So one thing that I think was like a major like neon sign that I never really thought of was the fact that Hannah and I would make a point to like stay up late every night, talking all the time. And it was not something that I thought was like, I don't know. I didn't really think it was that weird. I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna like say goodnight to a friend. Like we'll just like continue the conversation.
Yeah.
So I never really thought to be like, to like cut it off. Looking back on it now, like, why did I not think of that as like, well, like if this is the one person that you want to talk to all the time, and you want to stay up super late talking to them, like, isn't that a sign?
But what would we talk about every night? Boys. Which is probably part of why we didn't think twice. It was like we were bonding over our respective relationships with men. And we would laugh about it, but it was like, what do you want to talk about? Boys. And then we'd talk about our, I don't know, our struggles, our triumphs.
Spoiler alert. Boys was a cover, apparently.
Apparently. For me. Yeah.
It was a half cover for you?
Yeah, I don't know what that means for me. But that is what we talked about, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So funny. I think another one that was like glaringly obvious now that I look back on it is that this is like partially something that was like interior and then something that we did together, but I just thought that Hannah was like the best person ever. Like I thought she was like the most fun, like the coolest, the most talented, the hardest working, like the most ambitious, like had the most integrity. I still think all of those things, but it was like I just had this immense admiration for her that we would talk about that. We would compliment each other all the time. And I think that's something that is, unfortunately, I think it's really rare between women. I think that we're taught to compete when we maybe more instinctively would like to have community with one another. And so I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I want this to be the kind of friendship I have. Like, I want to have friendship with someone who builds me up and who I can build up and I don't feel like is gonna ever like step on me to get ahead or whatever, you know, whatever. And I would never do that to her. And so I just thought this was like this really cool, like mutual respect that we had, which it was. I don't mean that any of this is not true anymore, but I think that the depth of that and like how much I thought about it was more than would be average.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the point about telling each other was maybe the most obvious part. Like, I had the same admiration and respect for her, but we would call it out. And I was like, I'm just a hype woman. That's kind of my like personality generally. And I am a hype woman for most of my friends and acquaintances, but I was like aggressively a hype woman for Sadie. And like, for example, I scrolled through each of her Instagram posts every Instagram post, which is like, I mean, dozens. This is a normal Instagram feed of like years worth of photos. And I just liked each one and commented on maybe every 5th one. Like,
I had like 75 notifications on Instagram, which was so funny.
I was like, this is what a friend does. I'm building her up. She looks fire. She's stunning. Like, get it, girl. Love this outfit. Like, what a fun night. You look so good. I don't know.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm like, I've never gotten this kind of attention before. This is awesome.
I was like, I just want to make her smile.
Yeah. How did we not know?
I don't know. Yeah, that one seems obvious, but it was like,
there's so many of these that now feel like really obvious.
But like, I had done that for my sister before. Like, that's the kind of hype I aspire to give like my closest people.
I think I knew that, and I think that was kind of my explanation. Like, that's how I explained it away.
Yeah.
I think maybe like the sum of all of these things was like the real kind of dead giveaway, but
yeah. And then maybe the last one after that first summer that we spent together after I moved back, I went to help you set up your classroom.
Yes.
And I felt so honored that I could be like part of that, I don't know, part of that day. Because it was a new school,
Yeah, I was like so on like pins and needles, I guess, about it, because if you've ever set up a classroom before, you know it's a huge undertaking. And there are a lot of choices that you make, and there are a lot of like systems and organization. I'm horrible at organizing. So I was like desperate to have help and like the eye of someone who was better at that than I am, which Hannah is way better at, just like having an eye for when things aren't working at maximum efficiency, and she can make it work. And so I was like super, super stoked about it, but I was also like, oh, like, do I tell her how much work this is? Like, do I tell her how big of a deal it is to like come help me set up a classroom?
I would have done it all day for 3 days in a row.
Oh my gosh, that would have been amazing. She hung up some posters. They were like the most perfectly spaced and straightest hung posters I've ever had in my life.
You could take a level to each of those bad boys.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. But to thank her instead, I just took her out to lunch to a Mexican restaurant, which was the birth of our tradition of eating Mexican food together, which turned into burritos, books, and bagels.
Right, back to one of the first points.
Yeah, we want to know what you guys think.
Yes.
I honestly, I think I have a lot of questions about, and I've been reflecting a lot on friendship in general, and like platonic love and relationships with other women, and just platonic relationships in general, and how much we are often encouraged to devalue those. I think one example of this that I can think of is when you hear a lot of women say that they marry their best friend, and men too. We hear a lot of married couples say that, and I think that's great if you marry your best friend, but I do think it's something that we're taught to like aspire to almost, and I don't think it's necessary to marry your best friend. I don't know, I'm not married and I never have been, although I did come very close.
And it's also maybe a discredit to the, well, if we're talking about a husband and a wife, the female friendships that the woman has with their other friends, as if like those aren't as valuable or important. And I would maybe argue the opposite.
Yeah, or that you can get everything you need, friendship, love, like romance, whatever you're seeking in one person, which I think that's the part that I take issue with. I think a person can certainly be your love and your best friend, and they likely then don't fill like a handful of other categories for you. But yeah, I think that we are kind of, I don't know if it's like our like culture of competitiveness and like individualism to marry like the one, you know, like find the one, or like be partnered with a person, and we kind of in the process devalue friendships. And I don't know, like there are a lot of people who don't want to be married, or who want to be in a relationship but not get married, or don't want to be in a relationship, or who are not interested in romance, or not interested, they're not like sexually interested in anyone.
And that should be fine.
That should, yeah, we should celebrate those kinds of like familial or friend loves as well.
Yeah, and maybe we should promote more of the kinds of actions that we took as friends, because maybe that's what more of our friendships need, is more of that closeness, more of that intimacy, even if it is just friendship.
Yeah, I will say, like, I don't think that I've ever had a relationship like ours in any way. Like, I don't think I've ever had a friendship or a like romantic relationship. When I say I don't think, I mean I know.
Same.
Cool.
So I guess we'll leave you with that.
And one pup date.
And one pup date. Look at her. 1 week bigger.
She has an eye issue right now, so she's a little gunky.
Oh my god, she's so tired. This is precious.
Sorry.
Say hi.
Say hi, Shell.
All right, you guys.
Little face.
We will see you Friday and then Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Hey, leave it.
Leave it.
Leave it. Thank you.